The House by the Lake. My name is Anna. I never believed in ghosts, but my story begins in a place where love and fear walk together. It was late autumn when I first saw the old house by the lake. The air was cold, and the leaves were falling like slow rain. The house stood alone, dark and silent, with broken windows and a roof that looked tired. People in the town always whispered about it. They said no one could stay there for long. But I was not afraid. I was a writer. I wanted to spend some weeks alone, far from the city, far from noise. My heart was heavy. A year ago, I lost Daniel, the only man I ever loved. He died in an accident, and since then my world had turned gray. Writing was my only way to breathe. So I rented the house by the lake. On the first evening, the water was still, like a mirror. The sun fell behind the trees, painting the sky red. I felt something strange in the air, a weight, as if the house was watching me. But I told myself it was only my imagination. Inside, the house smelled of dust and old wood. The furniture was covered with white sheets. I walked from room to room, touching the walls. They were cold. Upstairs, I found a small bedroom with a view of the lake. That night, I lay in bed listening to the silence. It was so deep, it almost hurt. Then I heard it. A soft knock. It came from the corridor. My heart jumped. I sat up, holding my breath. Again, knock, knock. Slowly I opened the door, but the corridor was empty. Only the wind touched the broken window. I went back to bed, but sleep would not come. The next morning, I tried to forget. I made tea and sat by the lake with my notebook. The air was fresh, and the water sparkled. For a moment, I felt peace. Then I saw something on the other side of the lake. A shadow. A tall figure, standing very still between the trees. I blinked. The shadow was gone. When evening came, I lit a candle and started to write. The flame danced, throwing long shapes on the walls. I was writing about Daniel, about the way he smiled when he held me close. My eyes filled with tears. I whispered his name, Daniel. And then I heard a voice, so soft, almost broken. Anna. I froze. The candle flickered, almost going out. The voice came again from the corridor. Anna. It was his voice, Daniel's voice. I wanted to run, but my legs would not move. My heart was burning, my throat dry. Slowly I stood up and walked to the door. I opened it, shaking. The corridor was empty, but on the wall, with dust and age, someone had written a word. Stay. The voice in the dark. I could not move. My eyes stayed on the word on the wall. Stay. The letters were thin, like a finger had touched the dust and drawn them. My heart beat so fast, I thought it would break my chest. I whispered, Daniel, is it you? The corridor stayed silent. Only the candle shook in my hand. I closed the door and sat on the bed, my hands cold. Tears came to my eyes. If it was Daniel's voice, what did it mean? Was his soul lost in this place? Or was the house playing tricks with me? That night I dreamed. I saw Daniel standing by the lake. His face was pale, his eyes full of sorrow. He called my name, but his voice was heavy, like he was underwater. I ran to him, but the closer I came, the farther he seemed. Then suddenly, cold arms caught me from behind, pulling me into the dark. I screamed and woke up. The candle was out, the room was black. I waited for morning like a prisoner waits for freedom. When the sun finally rose, I left the house and walked by the lake. The water was calm. The air smelled of wet earth. For a moment, it was beautiful. Then I saw it again. A shadow standing on the other side. Tall, still, watching. My breath caught in my throat. I wanted to shout, but my voice was lost. When I blinked, the shadow was gone, as before. I told myself I was tired, that my mind was making shapes. But deep inside, I knew something lived in that house, something more than memory. On the third evening, I tried to be brave. I lit 2 candles, sat at the desk, and opened my notebook. I wanted to write a letter to Daniel, as if he could read it from wherever he was. Dear Daniel, I began, I am still here, still breathing without you. The world feels empty. Sometimes I think I hear you calling me. If your spirit is close, give me a sign. Please, May. My hand trembled as I finished the letter. Then it happened. The air turned cold. The flame of the candle stretched tall, almost blue. A whisper came, soft but near my ear. Anna, I froze. Slowly I turned my head, and there he was, Daniel, standing in the corner of the room. His eyes glowed faintly, like silver in the dark. His face was the same, but pale, too pale, and his smile was sad. Daniel, I cried, dropping the pen. But when I ran to him, he faded. Only cold air touched my skin. I fell to my knees, tears burning my face. Don't leave me again. Please. The room was silent. But when I looked back at my notebook, I saw new words written there. Words I had not written. Stay with me. Forever. The mirror in the hall. The words in my notebook did not leave my mind. Stay with me. Forever. I tried to believe it was only my imagination. Maybe my hand moved without me knowing. Maybe I was too tired. But in my heart, I felt the truth. Daniel was here, or something that wore his voice. The next days were strange. I felt the house breathing with me. When I walked down the corridor, the floor creaked in rhythm with my steps, almost like another pair of feet followed me. Sometimes when I turned quickly, I thought I saw a figure disappear behind a door. And always in the evening, I heard the whisper. Anna? Soft, sad, almost begging. I started to answer. I whispered back, Daniel, I'm here. Don't leave me. I felt crazy, but the silence of the house was worse. On the 5th day, I found something new. In the hall stood an old mirror. It was tall, the glass dark, the wood frame heavy with dust. At first, it only showed my reflection, a pale woman with tired eyes. But when I looked closer, I saw another shape behind me, a man's shadow. I turned fast, but the hall was empty. My chest filled with ice. I looked again into the mirror. The shadow was still there. Closer. Daniel? I whispered. For a second, the shadow changed. I saw his face. Daniel's face. His lips moved, but no sound came. His hand reached toward me through the glass. Without thinking, I lifted my hand, too. My fingers touched the cold mirror. The glass shook like water. Stay. His voice came, deep and broken. Tears ran down my cheeks. I will. I promise. Just don't leave me again. Then the mirror cracked. A thin line, like a wound, ran across the glass. The reflection of Daniel twisted, his eyes turning dark. His smile grew wide, too wide. Not his smile. I screamed and stepped back. The mirror went silent, only showing my own face again. But the crack stayed, sharp and ugly. That night, I could not sleep. The wind howled around the house, and the walls groaned like something alive. I dreamed again. I was walking by the lake, the water black under the moon. Daniel waited for me at the shore. His arms opened, and his smile was warm. Come, Anna, he said. His voice was soft, the voice I loved. I ran to him. He held me tight, and for a moment I felt safe. But then his embrace grew stronger, too strong. His arms were cold iron around me. I tried to pull away, but his eyes changed, dark, endless. His voice became a whisper of many voices, not human. Stay forever, I screamed, and the black water swallowed us both. When I woke up, my pillow was wet with tears, and on the wall, near my bed, new words had appeared. Soon you will be mine. The locked door. The words on the wall haunted me. Soon you will be mine. I could not understand. Was it Daniel? Or something darker, using his voice to pull me closer? My heart wanted to believe in love, but my skin felt the truth. Danger. I tried to leave the house the next morning. I packed my notebook, my clothes, and walked to the front door. But when I turned the handle, it would not move. The door was locked, though I had never locked it. I pulled hard, my fingers hurting, but it stayed closed. Then I heard it. A low whisper, coming from the walls. Stay. I stepped back, shaking. I tried the windows, but every one of them was stuck, as if the house itself refused to let me go. For the first time, I felt like a prisoner. That evening, the whispering grew stronger. It came from every corner, every shadow. Sometimes it was Daniel's soft voice. Sometimes it was many voices together, deep and broken. Anna, stay, forever. I covered my ears, but the words were inside my head. At night, I walked through the house with a candle, searching for answers. My steps took me to the end of the long corridor, where an old wooden door stood. It was smaller than the others, almost hidden behind dust and cobwebs. The handle was cold under my hand. I pulled, locked, but as I touched the door, a wave of sadness hit me. I fell to my knees, crying without reason. In my mind, I heard Daniel again. Don't open it, please. His voice was full of fear. But behind the door, I heard another sound. Scratching. Slow and sharp, like nails on wood. My candle shook in my hand. Who's there? I whispered. No answer. Only the scratching. I ran back to my room and locked the door. I pressed my back against it, tears wetting my face. My heart begged me to leave, but there was no way out. That night, the dream returned. I was in the house, but it was darker, endless. I walked down the corridor, and the walls bled shadows. At the end, the small door opened by itself. A black hand reached out, long fingers pulling me inside. Daniel stood behind me, his face pale with pain. Anna, don't go. It's not me, he cried.